Welcome to the Dogs Are the Best Friends podcast. I'm Emily, and my best buddy, Flynn, is here too. Today, I have some fun dog stories from my very good friend Julie's mom, Norma. And actually, Julie pipes in with a couple stories too. And then I give some advice to a friend that has a dog that is about to go into heat and is very grumpy. Be sure to listen on how to enter into the drawing for free treats for your pup. Enjoy! First up, just give us a little background about how you got those two crazy girls and brought them into your life.
Well, we lost our Jazzy, 10 years ago. And we says, we got to replace her. We have to get another doggy. So we went to the SPCA a few months later, and they were both in the cage together. And there was a couple older ones, and there was, a couple younger, but they were both in their cage together, and they both came from Virginia. They were running around. They were running around the golf course in Virginia.
Oh, wow.
So I says, I have to have them. And Dad said, we came for one dog. He said, we don't need two. I says, if there were three in the crate, I would have took one.
Right.
I can't leave her sister behind. There was just the two of them, So we took him home, and he is I'm close to him, and he is maybe even closer than I am to them dogs.
Wow. Look at that. And yes. How old were they? And they're both girls. I know that.
We just got them. It was 10 years yesterday.
Wow.
10, October 10th. And they were a year and a half when we got them. So they're like 11 and a half now.
Well, tell me about their quirks, because, you said they're quirky and silly. And
Nancy moves. Nellie won't move. She's sitting there in the living room or something, and you got to get by. You have to find out a way to get by. She's not going to move. Where Nancy will move right away. But in the beginning, when we just had them a few years ago, she thought that when I wasn't in bed that she could get in my bed. And you're not going to move her. And she lay like this. I says, you're not sleeping in my bed. Well, now we finally, after 5 years or something like that, we finally got it down where she knows she don't try and get in the bed until I get up. I get up at like 5:30 every morning. And when I get up and fix the bed, put the sheets up and stuff like that, she'll get in. And then she lays next to her daddy. And it's okay. I cover her up, and no more fighting. We used to fight in the beginning, but no more fighting.
You figured out how to make it work.
She's like programmed or something. I said she should have went to college. She would be up. She's like a drill sergeant, You do it one way or no way.
Yeah.
Okay. Dennis always does the dishes, after dinner.
Yeah.
Because he likes to, I guess. But anyway, she's so funny. I'm like, she'll have her dinner, she gets her food and everything, and she eats her food. Well, then she sits in between the kitchen and the living room. She sits there and looks like that. He can do his dishes, okay? She lets him do the dishes. And then maybe he'll come in and maybe he'll like lay down for a few minutes. So he'll lay there. And 10 minutes, I tell him, I said, you know what? She's get you 10 minutes. And then you better get up and give her. Okay, he'll be in there, and sure as heck, it's 10 minutes, like she's clocking her head or something. She starts barking, and she carries on real loud, ain't it? Yeah. She gets, and if he doesn't come right out, I laugh, and she looks at me, and I go, can't you just get done with your dinner? Can't you let Daddy alone? And she does it some more, and she'll carry on until he gets up and gives her treats, her chicken things.
They have you so trained. So funny. I love it. And you're such a dog lover. You let them do it too, which you just so sweet that you love them so much. It's wonderful. It's just wonderful.
They never sass back. They give us dirty looks. She does. But no, they never holler back. They never sass back. They never bite. They're very gentle, good dogs,
Yeah. So
and I tell them all the time, I says, you know what? You're the reason for us being happy in this crazy world.
Did you have dogs growing up, or only when you became an adult?
I always had dogs. We've always had dogs. Okay. My brother used to be one of these when he was younger. He used to He's 9. His birthday, in fact, is today. He's 85, so he's like 9 years older than me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but he used to bring the dogs home, Emily, when years and years ago when he was like 9, 10, 11. Because years ago dogs walked all over the neighborhood.
Right.
I don't know where anybody owned them,
Right.
And he'd bring the dog home, and then he'd put him in the tub, and he'd take my mother's dish towels, give him a bath.
Oh.
My mother could crown him, So my brother did. So we've always, and then as the years went on, then we got, we used to go to the SPC and get a dog.
And then tell us a little bit about Jazz, because Jazzy was like such a character. She loved you, but what a stinker she was to your husband.
Out of the 15 years that we had her, she spent 14 of them barking at poor Dennis. I mean, we could never figure it out. She was good. She didn't bite or anything, but we just could never figure it out. And it was so funny, Emily. We lost our Jazzy in, when did we lose her? April, May? Something like that. Well, can you believe this? My daughter's brought her dog over. Like we had to put Jazzy down that day. And I think the next day my daughter would come over. And Bailey went under my chair, and I'm going, what is she got? She had a pig ear under there. I says, I think Jazz put that under there for Bailey. Aww. It was the cutest thing. I mean, why else would that? Do you know what I mean? She would eat her pig ears. She didn't put them under the chair.
Yeah, so sweet. Aw, yeah, such good memories. Yeah.
A little gift left for her,
Any other goofy stories to share about your girls or Jazzy or any of your dogs that you've had?
Nellie, sometimes what she does with me is I'll go up to her, and even if I don't have a face mask on, like it doesn't matter. She'll try to bite my face, but it's all like just playing. She'll scrunch up her nose and she'll try to bite my face, but she never actually bites my face. It's just a silly thing that we do together. Oh, like I just go up to her and I look a certain way at her. Yeah, and she'll do that towards me.
Dennis had a rosary, because he said lays there sometimes in the praise his rosary. Well, I went in there the one day and I go, oh, what's wrong with that rosary? It was all in parts. I said, the 9 foot.
The pagan dog.
Okay, so during COVID shutdown here in Buffalo, New York, my parents weren't able to go to church on Sunday morning, so they would get up and watch it on TV. And Nancy, their one dog, would always wake up with them and sit on the couch next to my dad and watch the mass on TV with them. And Nellie would always stay in their bedroom. And the minute mass would be over, Nellie would come back out to the living room. And
so funny. Yeah. Did you tell your priest that? Because that's hilarious.
Nancy's Catholic and I'm not. So.
I love it.
Like if you're an older person, maybe an older dog, but then you got to think about, you got to realize you're not going to have, but if you're older and you get a puppy, it's hard because you have to train them. So I think a little bit, like a few years old, it would be good if you could get a hold, if you're an older person, get a hold of a trained,
right, a
little dog that's trained, and get one that is compatible to you. If you want a real little dog or do you want a bigger dog? You know what I mean?
Right. So you definitely recommend that people rescue like you did, because you've rescued dogs.
Oh my God, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's good that you're hooked and you've been doing it for all these years. So those dogs, I'll owe you. You spoil them. So those dogs owe you so much.
They do. They give us so much love, honestly.
Yeah. That's it. That's why we do what we do. They're worth it. So this week's giveaway is for chicken or beef jerky, and you'll be able to tell me whichever one is better for your dog when you win. All you have to do is review this podcast on Apple Podcasts or whatever that you use and screenshot it, then post it on Facebook or Instagram and just at me, right? Dogs are the best friends, come. And there you go. You'll be entered into this drawing. I had a great question from a friend of mine. We used to be coworkers and fortunately have stayed in touch. He just got a dog about a month ago, and it's a female. She's 5 years old, and she is acting kind of funny when she greets other dogs. She can seem friendly, and then all of a sudden she kind of snaps at them. She is snappish. That's my word, not his. Again, he just rescued this dog about a month ago, and she is about to go into heat. So there's a number of factors that are going on here and things to think about. When a female dog is going to heat, again, you've got hormones, you've got all different things. Maybe they're in pain a little bit. Maybe they're grumpy. Okay. And overall, he doesn't really know her that well because a dog can kind of not show their cards, if you will, for a while. And that's not a bad thing. It's just that they're trying to figure you out and you're trying to figure them out. So it could take 6, 9, months. It could take a while to get to know your dog. So give yourself and that dog some time to get to know each other. Nothing wrong with that. You have to keep it positive with your dog, right? Keep a positive relationship. So you don't want to say no any more than you have to. Just like with children, right? Try to encourage them to do the right thing. And treats, if you can figure out what treats or what they need. What is their love language? Do they want ear scratches? Do they want treats? Bribery is fine. That's what you're doing when you're treating, right? You're training them. You're trying to get them to understand what you like and what you don't. There's the clicker, of course. I've talked about that before as well. If she's being too grumpy and making him nervous because he's not really sure how she's going to respond, then you can walk away with your dog. You can entice them with a treat, change their whole mindset. Because once they're locked in on the being mean to another dog or something, that's where you can get into trouble. But if you change things and get them out of that mindset with a treat or just turning right around, they'll be surprised. They won't know what's going on. So you have to decide what works best for you and try out a couple different things. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to get it perfect on the first try, the second try, whatever. Take your time and figure out what works best for you and your family. Because if there's more than one of you, you all need to do the same thing. So he had a great question because there's a bunch of things going on with her. And by the way, that bad word that people call women that starts with a B, that comes from a female dog, right? And it comes from being pushy and bossy. And really what his dog is doing is setting boundaries and testing limits and seeing what other dogs will put up with. And even him, she's kind of testing him. So female dogs, they can be the epitome of that word, right? If they're being kind of alpha, they're being the leader. And here's the thing. Again, you need to be the leader for your dog. So if she doesn't understand that you are the leader, if she doesn't feel like you are, then she is trying to figure things out. And she's also trying to set boundaries for these new dogs that she's meeting, that they need to respect her. And if she knows she's going into heat, which they do, right? They're much more in tune with their bodies than we are, I think. That's the other thing. She's setting herself up for being able to defend herself and to, make sure that nobody jumps her. So there's a bunch of things to take into account here. And anytime you rescue a dog or just bring in even a puppy, it's a new place. They're an alien in that land, right? You're number one, they're a different species. Number two, they don't know how you communicate. They don't understand you yet, and you don't understand their way either. So they're watching all sorts of cues. They're watching your face. They're watching your body. They're watching your voice. So just keep all that in mind, and you will figure each other out. Patience is huge. Puppies are so much work. I just went to visit my friend who just got a little puppy. Oh, man. I remember the needle teeth. But you forget the needle teeth, how much they hurt. Oh my gosh. So they're so much work. They have so much energy. And again, a new dog, whether they're a puppy or one that's had a different life already, we just need to be patient with them. When I got Flynn, he did things that I did not understand. Like coming in and peeing on a plant in my house first thing was not appreciated. I don't think I've told this story, but when we were at the beach, just when I had him in, for a couple weeks, he peed on me. It's like he was trying to mark me. Like, seriously? I was not happy. So needless to say, that didn't happen again. But yeah, our dogs, they take a while. And I'm so glad I got Flynn at 1.5 years because, I got to understand a little bit better about the rescue situation or the rehome situation, which he was rehomed. He wasn't a rescue, but there's a lot of similarities to that. And here's the ultimate thing I'm trying to get to, by the way. If you practice things at home, like sit, look at me, turning around together, heel, and so on, everything you want to teach, do it at home first where there's less distractions because, their nose and their eyes are so good that any little movement or any little smell that comes wafting by, they pick up all of it. And so if you can do it at home, you will get their attention and you'll have much more success. Don't forget to enter into the drawing for that beef or chicken jerky, whichever one will sit better with your pup's tummy. I hope and pray that you will take care of yourself. We need to be resilient like our dogs. But if you notice, our dogs also know when to take naps and take care of themselves. So please take good care of yourself. It's a difficult time. And I just hope and pray that we can continue to love each other, put up with each other, and do our best. And please hug your pup. I send you love and light and peace.